Hello, 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 everybody. Kingly Man is here. Welcome to the channel. I'm gonna do this live stream in English. Um, Thank you for the subscribers. Thank you for the people the truth seekers who follow our work. As you know, Kingly Man, I invite you to subscribe to the YouTube channel. There's also a backup channel YouTube channel that I will communicate later. You can join as well the Telegram channel. You can see um, the address on the screen, t.me/kinglyman.com. And you can find the link on the description. You can click on it. And if you have Telegram on your computer or on your phone, you're gonna be directed directly to the Telegram channel, and I invite you to join in. If you don't have Telegram on your phone, on your tablet, on your computer, I invite you as well to download it. It is one of the last, let's say, resistance zones when we can speak more freely. Um, uh, and as you know, or maybe you don't know, in this channel, it's a polyglot channel between three languages: Arabic, English, and French. There's no priority. Maybe I publish many things in English, but Arabic as well and French as well. Maybe a little bit of German as well, because I'm learning German. I try to learn. It takes time to master a new language, especially at my age. So young people, children, learn languages as much as you can. It's easier to learn languages when you're a kid than when you're an adult. So in this live stream, I just want to talk about an article that I have found on the World Economic Forum website. So I want to say to YouTube, this is no conspiracy theory. I'm just gonna do a little bit of reading on the official website of the World Economic Forum. So I'm not making any stuff up. I'm not inventing anything. Uh, we just gonna do some reading. You can find the link to the article on the website, on World Economic Forum website. You can find it on the in the description of this same live or same video if you don't watch it live. So I have found a quite interesting article, as I said, on the World Economic Forum website. And I just, I'm doing this video just to share it, nothing more. I'm just gonna do some reading. Um, so let me share my screen with you. So we're gonna go on it. Just verify that my screen is shared. So yeah, we're on it. So there is this quite interesting article on the World Economic Forum website, as I said. And the title of this article is as following: Lockdown is the world's biggest psychological experiment, and we will pay the price. This is the title of the article, which I found quite interesting, especially coming from the World Economic Forum, which is linked very closely to the well-known now, the new Karl Marx of our era, Karl Schwab. who want uh, to do the so-called Great Reset and take advantage of this window of opportunity that it is this pandemic. This is his own words, as I say. This is no conspiracy theory. I'm not making any stuff up. I'm just doing some reading here and saying things that has been said that are verified and verifiable by anyone. So the World Economic Forum considers the lockdowns that took place all around the world are the world's biggest psychological experiment, or let's call it a PSYOP, psychological operation. People who are familiar maybe with MK Ultra, who are familiar with the paperclip operation, who are familiar with Monarch program, uh, who are familiar with many of those operations that are well known. And again, I'm not making any stuff up. Those things are verified and verifiable by anyone. We will talk about it in in coming videos and coming lives. So they consider what they say in this article. Let me just put the dark because I prefer the way it hurts my eyes. With a little picture, stay home, gotta stay safe. Yes, of course. And I'm just gonna do some reading, maybe not continue, not finish the article. Just do some reading and comment the text. I found it and I wanted to do it on a live. So, what do they say here? With some 2.6 billion people around the world in some kind of lockdown, we are conducting arguably the largest psychological experiment ever. Ever. Well, personally, I thought it was medical. I thought it was scientifically proved that lockdowns uh, are, and the only purpose of those lockdowns, as they say, is to eradicate the virus. Um, I ne- no one told me. I mean, no one. Yeah, some have told me, but I mean the official outlets, state outlets, all around the world, the media, the TVs, the social media, the official social media accounts of the fact checkers and stuff like this, all those guys. No one of them have told me that the lockdowns are psychological experiment or psyop. I thought it was necessary, huh? I thought it was something that is necessary to save the people, to save us from the virus, the deadly virus. I don't want to go too deep into this because I don't want to have a strike on YouTube. But I'm just doing some comments here because this is, as I said again, I am not making stuff up. I'm just reading an article here and doing some comments and commenting the article. And the second point, this will result in a secondary epidemic of burnouts and stress-related absenteeism in the latter half of 2020. Oh, okay. So they know because the World Economic Forum has the honorable memberships of many world leaders, presidents, kings, queens, um, CEOs of the biggest companies in the world, some intellectuals per se, maybe journalists, thinkers, and stuff like this. So when we when the World Economic Forum says this, it means that they are aware of this. Don't think they are not, because if they are not, there's something wrong there. Because why are you a member of this if you're not aware of what they say, of if you're not aware of what the World Economic Forum says and thinks and plans, and why are you a member of it, especially if you are a president or a king or a CEO or big businessman or thinker or intellectual. So they know that those lockdowns are going to affect people psychologically, especially the weaker people, the people who are maybe fragile or not prepared before the epidemic, who were never prepared for something that huge, something that unique in the history of humanity, to lock down everybody. So they're aware of the consequences, the very negative consequences on the mental health of people. They're talking about stress-related absenteeism, which means people will don't show up at work because of stress and because of because they are demoralized. So what they say in the third point, taking action now can mitigate the toxic effects of COVID-19 lockdowns. Oh, taking action. Which actions? In the mid 90s, France was one of the first countries in the world to adopt a revolutionary approach for the aftermath of terrorist attacks and disasters. In addition to a medical field hospital or triage post, the French crisis response includes setting up a psychological field unit, a cellule d'urgence médico-psychologique. In French, it's the, how can I translate it from French to English? Um, a psychomedical urgency unit or urgency cell unit. Unit, maybe it's better in English. A psychomedical or psychological medical urgency unit. CUMPS in French. Cellule d'urgence médico-psychologique. All right, they're talking about France in the 90s and psycho medical urgency unit. In that triage post, victims and witnesses who were not physically harmed receive psychological help and are checked for signs of needing further post-traumatic treatment. In those situations, the World Health Organization recommends protocols like RTEP, Recent Traumatic Episode Protocol, or GTEP, Group Traumatic Episode Protocol. I love those names. Those names, that the RTEP, the GTEP, the Group Traumatic Episode Protocol, the Recent Traumatic Episode Protocol. I mean, what does it even mean, man? It the people are just shocked. I mean, people are in a state of how can I describe the mental state of the general population all around the world? Um, People are frozen by what happens all around the world because people have never, the majority of people have never been prepared for something like this, for especially the new generations, maybe the people who lived the First World War, or maybe the Second World War, because First World War it's quite a time now, that it's more than a century now. People who lived the war in hard times, maybe it's okay for them, they're prepared, they're okay. But the new generations who have lived um, a quite peaceable life, quite agreeable life, are um, uh, frozen, especially people who never took interest, who never been interested um, in politics and what's going on around the world, on looking for and searching for who really calls the shots, who really controls things around the world. And I'm talking about the socio-economic order of the world, because it's God who controls everything. As a believer, I believe in the one God, the one Almighty Creator. And may God forgive us our sins. It's God who controls everything. But when I say the people who call the shots, I'm talking about what they call the New World Order. The socio-economic, mediatic, um, um, medical world order. It means the system, the matrix. The matrix, who controls this matrix that people are sucked in? People have left nature, people have left the real life, the good life, the true life, and people are living in great metropoles and great cities of 20 million people and 10 million people and 15 million people, and living like rats. People are living like, just living between the buildings, and living this fake dream of modernity, of the modern world. This modern world that is an illusion. And people who have always lived like, who has always lived like this, have this deep feel of being betrayed, and are just discovering that all what they learn, um, that the West, especially Western people and Western youth, European and American and North American, and maybe all around the world, that this our age is an age of freedom, and it's an age of individual choice. I don't want to get into the details, as I said again, because I don't want to have a strike on my channel. Um, the people who have always believed the illusion and the lies or the politics and the media about this modern world as being the new age of man, and the new age of happiness. I mean, and it's been quite a moment that since the industrial revolution, that the politics, even before we were born, like maybe 150 years ago or 2 centuries ago, the 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 modernity have always promised us um, eternal happiness, and perfect health, and prosperity and liberty and freedom, and 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 the perfect lives that are organized by the science, huh? The scientism as the religion of modernity. And scientism and science are two different things. Don't get me wrong. I love science, but the real science. But a lot of the things that we're seeing today are not science. It's scientism. It's demagogy. It's ideology. It's religion, actually. It's the modern religion. And as I said, all those promises of the modern world, the modern world is gonna take the humans, humanity, to happiness and health and prosperity and richness and riches and and good life and perfect life and the people who follow the tradition are just backward people and obscurantists and terrorists and they're discovering and people are maybe they're not aware of it, they're unconsciously discovering it, they are discovering that it's not true, that there's still diseases because we always, before we always heard that, in the Middle Ages, in the ancient times, there were always a disease, a plague, or because they were backward people eating rats and and stuff like this, which is all lies. The ancient people were very wise and very. They have this. They had this the beauty of the soul, which is quite rare nowadays. But like they used to have the plague and epidemics that killed people and uh, and they were always because they were not scientific and uh, um, they were not modern and they were backward and they didn't know uh, how to manage things and the bacteria and thank God for the prophet Pasteur and those prophets of the new of the modern world that have discovered the bacteria and who told us now how to live scientifically and have a healthy life. Well, guess what? It's not true. We still have worldwide epidemics. So, the ancient people, they never had a worldwide epidemic, and we had it. So, there's something wrong there. And, well, I'm just commenting, freestyle commenting, and just going in my thoughts and following my thoughts and getting deep into my thoughts. I didn't organize this live. I just wanted to talk and just comment a little bit. Let's continue the article a little bit. Since France led the way more than 20 years ago, international playbooks for disaster response increasingly call for this two-tenth approach. The RTEP and GTEP, that's what we're talking about, I guess. One of the wounded and one to treat the invisible psychological wounds of trauma. In treating the COVID 19 pandemic, the world is scrambling to build enough tents to treat those infected with a deadly, highly contagious virus. I'm just gonna read it again. In treating the COVID-19 pandemic, the world is scrambling to build enough tents to treat those infected with a deadly, highly contagious virus. Oh my God. I'm just gonna do a little statistic there. All right. I'm gonna go on in the website COVID Tracker. COVID Tracker, which I think it's a website uh, created by John Hopkins University in Washington, maybe, or Chicago, I don't remember. I'm not American, so uh, I apologize. University, John Hopkins University. I don't remember. Maybe it's Chicago, Washington. Maybe some another another city. So this is official. All right. Let me just do this. Yeah. So here we have all the countries, the number of the vaccinated people, the total cases, total deaths. I'm just because I have read here this, okay? Just because I have read this, I'm just gonna take a calculator, all right? And just a little calculator. But I'm not inventing anything. This is no conspiracy theory. I'm just doing the counts and just counting a little bit, just doing some statistics. So let's say the world, we are, I guess we are, what is the world population? 8 billion people? World population. 8 billion maybe? 7 billion and a half? Yeah, 7 billion 80. Okay? Alright, we're gonna take this. 7 billion and 80 million and 800 million people. So let's take the cases, okay? The total cases. So it's 240, let's say 41 million people. 41 million people. If you're good at maths, I don't need to put all the zeros. You know what? Let's put them. Just people who are not very comfortable with mathematics and counting. 200, let's say 241 million people. That's the cases of the COVID. Divided by 7 billion and 800 million people. Okay? So, and we multiply by 100. So we have percentage. So the total cases of the world is 3.08 percent. Those are the cases. 3.08% of the world has been, let's say, diagnosed as cases by the PCR tests, who are now we know that a great deal of those tests, maybe the half of them, are not reliable. But let's say it's good. PCR tests are all good. When it says positive, it's positive. The total cases in the whole world, represents hardly more than 3% of the whole world population. Those are the cases, okay? It's 3%. Now let's take the deaths. The deaths here, it's 4,900,000. Let's say 5 million. Okay? Let's say 5 million people have died of COVID. And let's say, because, the the average age of the people who died with COVID, it's around 81 or 82 years old, and many of them had comorbidities. So there are, in those 5 million people, there are some who died of COVID, and there are some who died with the COVID. So let's say 5 million people, all of them died of COVID, all around the world. 5 million people, okay, divided by, again, 7 billion and 800 million people around the world, and we multiply by 100. 0.06% of the world have died of COVID. It means 99.94% of the world. It means the general population have 99.94% of chances of survival. So when I come back to World Economic Forum article, I'm gonna read it again. In treating the COVID-19 pandemic, the world is scrambling to build enough tents to treat those infected with deadly, highly contagious virus. I mean, uh, all right, okay, if you say so. I'm not gonna discuss this a lot because because this is science. This is science. All right. And I'm using official sources. I'm not making any stuff up. I'm not inventing anything. Those are official state sources and official academic scientific sources. I'm not inventing anything. I'm not making up anything. I'm not doing any conspiracy theory. This is science. Okay? It's just a quite simple count that I have made. This is no complicated to understand. If you know how to calculate a percentage uh, of something vis-a-vis of something else, this is how it's done, and this is science. Those are the numbers. So I will say no more about this. So I'm just keep reading a little bit, but we're not setting up the second tent for psychological health, and we will pay the price within 3 to 6 months after the end of this unprecedented lockdown. At a time when we will need all able bodies to help the world economy recover and build back better. Build back better. Build back better. Which is always the great reset. Solution of the pandemic shares solution. The mental toll of the quarantine and lockdown. Currently an estimated 2 point. I mean, this article, I think it was written in 2020. I I didn't see it last year, so. And here, the number of people who are under lockdown and quarantine, blah 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 blah. Fortunately, we already have a good idea of its results in late February 2020, right before European countries mandated various forms of lockdowns. The Lancet published a review of 24 studies documenting the psychological impact of quarantine. The restriction Lancet, the Lancet Gate. I mean, they are quoting the Lancet, who have lied about. I mean, just look for the Lancet Gate about the COVID. Okay, I don't want to get into it. And the restriction of movement of people who have potentially been exposed to a contagious disease. The findings offer a glimpse of what is brewing in hundreds of millions of households around the world. In short, and perhaps unsurprisingly, people who are quarantined are very likely to develop a wide range of symptoms of psychological stress and disorder, including low mood, insomnia, stress, anxiety, anger, irritability, emotional exhaustion, depression, and post traumatic stress symptoms. Low mood and irritability specifically stand out as being very common, the study notes. China, these expected mental health effects are already being reported in the first research papers about the lockdown. In cases where parents were quarantined with children, the mental health toll became even steeper. In one study, no less than 28% of quarantined parents warranted the diagnosis of trauma related mental health disorder. Among quarantined hospital staff, almost 10% reported high depressive symptoms after 3 years after being quarantined. Another study reported on the long term effects of SARS quarantine among healthcare workers found a long term risk for alcohol abuse, self medication, and long lasting avoidance behavior. This means that years after being quarantined, some hospital workers still avoid being in close contact with patients by simply not showing up for work. Reasons for stress abound in lockdown. There's a risk of infection, fear of becoming sick, or of losing loved ones, as well as the prospect of financial hardship. All these and many more are present in this current pandemic. I mean, um, I want to stop reading here because this bullshit is. I'm tired of this bullshit. Um, how? I mean, those people know exactly what's going on. They know exactly what's going on. They know exactly what they're doing, and they 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 say it with um, code words because they know that those things are gonna cause uh, depressions and divorces and sadness and sorrow in people's hearts. As I said, because they feel people feel betrayed by the promises of the modern world. The modern world has not kept its promises. And I will say no more about this, except one thing. We are facing the Pharaoh 4.0. I'm gonna do a video that will call it that name, the Pharaoh 4.0. Um, because this is exactly what they're trying to do in the world. They're trying to institutionalize a tyranny and a digital tyranny, a digital dictatorship that will mix up man with the machine. And before this, they have to demoralize people, make them panic, make them fear zero point 0.6, fear uh, a virus with 99.94% of chances of surviving it. I mean, if it was 10% or 20% or 30%, yeah, I would agree. But this world has gone mad. This world has gone mad, and the people in charge, the people who are calling the shots, are mad people, and they know exactly what they're doing. They know exactly what they're doing. So I want to tell you, join me on Telegram, t.me/kinglyman.com. You can visit my website, kinglyman.com. There's yet not too much articles on it. I think there's 2 articles. I didn't write a lot. I have to uh, force myself a little bit to be more disciplined and write more articles and express myself more with writing because um, I enjoy writing actually, and it leaves traces that can be found on the internet, and that can be that could help people understand in detail what's going on, especially that I can speak and write and publish freely on my website, kinglyman.com, and on my Telegram channel, kinglyman.com in letters. You can find the link to my Telegram channel. I strongly invite you to to join my Telegram channel. I publish lots of interesting things that I can't talk about unfortunately on YouTube because it will be I will have strikes and I will have censor. I will be censored. Simply, it's simply like this because this is the this is the new world order, and I hope I'll see you there in the kinglyman.com um, revolution to tradition, the Telegram channel. And I thank you for listening. And this is just um, as you have, as you can see and as you can hear, I can't say everything. So this is just As it's in French restaurants, it's called un avant-goût, an amuse-gueule. It's just an entry to the subject where the talk is more free on Telegram. So thank you, subscribe, join Telegram, visit my website kingdomman.com, and see you later. Thank you. Peace be upon you.